Cool. Hello, everyone. First of all, most important things. It's GM time. This one will be very light. I'll try to be very light. I know that you guys are already tired from the whole day of talks. So yeah, first of all, who am I? What I'm talking about? Well, I'm George Spasov. I'm co-founder of LimeChain and a blockchain architect, and also I'm part of EnterDAO, which is a DAO that builds products around metaverse. And we have two major products. One is Steam-like engine for Web3 games, which is like something that's very much in line with what we had like many talks of up until now. And the next thing is Landworks, which is land renting marketplace for metaverses. And yeah, today I want to talk a little bit about renting. But before we actually talk about renting, we need to also talk about, and I have called this like a renting tsunami because I believe that eventually we'll have a lot of renting because renting is such a native financial primitive to the economical world that I think is going to transfer into the metaverse world. But should there be renting at all is the question. And my answer to this is yes. Because renting becomes important for NFTs once we move past profile pictures. I mean, renting profile pictures is cool. You can represent something that you have actually rented as a profile picture or whatever, but I am actually much more bullish when it comes to the things that are past profile pictures. So what are these things that are past profile pictures? Well, passes, like any kind of accesses. Well, let's say we all got our NFTBERLIN tickets as NFTs. What if you could rent out your second day pass for some? It makes sense, right? Land in metaverses. Like a lot of people need land. Land is getting more and more prohibitively expensive, which means that eventually, it's going to be very hard to buy land, but you actually might need land in order for you to design experiences. We had like wonderful talks on designing experiences, in branding, in metaverses. So in order for all of these to be achieved, we would eventually need land, and it would be very, very expensive, and it would be much better for you to rent this space, much like we have rented this space for the conference instead of buying the whole building, right? And what else? Well, gaming assets. This is much more in line with the play-to-earn business models where you can essentially be playing in order for you to grind some assets, and then you can either completely sell them and lose all the exposure to these assets, or you can decide to rent them out and still make yield out of them without actually you parting ways with them. So I believe that these are like all very valid reasons for us to want to be renting. On top of this, this is going to enable a lot of next-gen financial tools with NFTs. But before we go into this, it's important for us to figure out how we can do this. And this is the sad part in my talk today. It's currently hard. And it's currently hard because everyone is trying to figure out how we can do renting on their own. So we have like multiple organizations that are actually trying to design their own renting marketplaces, their own renting functionality, which means that it's very hard for you to integrate. Any integration would need to be custom. So if you want to integrate with, I don't know, Decentraland, you need to figure out what they have done for renting and how to honor their renting. Then maybe Sandbox is another thing. Then it comes to another game. They have done another thing. And how many of you have been in the crypto space prior to 2017? Maybe show of hands. Okay, you kind of probably remember a time where this was similar with fungible tokens. And maybe you also remember the same thing when it came to non-fungible tokens. Everyone was building their own version of this thing. And this is where we are now with renting, especially renting with NFTs. And this is what we are trying to fix with an interesting thing that is part of the name of this talk. It's an EIP. Please move. No? I'll try. Okay, now it moved. So yeah, EIP 4400 is our attempt to saying, hey, let's all play together so it's actually easy for all of us to figure out how to rent stuff, and let's all be friends. What is EIP 4400? It's a draft Ethereum proposal that is going to be merged, I think, in Friday, 27th of May. It's last call for the proposal. After this, we're probably going to move and try to make it official. And official for me means it's merged inside the Open Zeppelin's library. This is when things start to get used. It's an extension to ERC 721, and it's super simple. It's super simple. It just adds one more field, one more method that's called consumer for token ID, and then it just enables easy integration. Protocols can pay attention to this field, and they can actually make decisions, and they can reason based on this field. It's that simple. I'm literally not kidding. It's super simple. It's single event, it's single function, and a function for you to enable to change who the consumer is. This new field is called the consumer, and you can treat this as the renter. So you no longer need to only be reasoning based on the owner, but you can also, if you decide to integrate it to enable renting or enable access to a renter, you can also reason based on the consumer. So let's look, here is the reference implementation inside the EIP, but if we quickly go and figure out what's in it, well, it's a simple mapping, token consumers, nothing that you wouldn't expect. It's a single function called consumer of for a single token ID, which you can reason based on. And then there is a method for the owner to decide and change the consumer. So based on these three methods, you can actually fully create a renting functionality where the owner or whatever, based on whatever logic it's there, and one can change the consumer, and this consumer can then be honored by the service that this rented NFT belongs to. And one thing that's important in this implementation is to also not forget that once this NFT is transferred, maybe the new owner would not want for the render to stay the same. So it's a good idea for us to actually zero this out and enable for new renter to come in. How do we integrate with this? Again, super easy. Literally, just when you're writing your smart contracts that are like just don't base only on owner of, but then based also on consumer of, and it's just that. It's not a huge change, and it's enabling for EIP 4400 tokens to also be part of your protocols. And who's using it up until this point? Well, Universe XYZ has embedded this in their minting module, which means that any new NFT that's built and minted through Universe is going to be rentable automatically. CryptoVoxels are currently using an adapter for this, and in their next version of Land are going to be using EIP 4400 so that their land is natively rentable in any protocol. Landworks is also using this so that the wrapper NFT for land is actually rentable again. So you can do like many more iterations of renting upon renting upon renting, which means you probably can do stuff like mortgages. And yeah, pretty much this is it. Like what I implore you to do is to take a look at it, embed it in your smart contracts, give any feedback, and please do account for NFTs, for the future NFTs that are going to have 4400 inside, and enable renters. And yeah, pretty much this is it. I'm looking for any questions. Thank you. I trust it was very simple.
How do you deal with existing contracts? Do you sort of wrap them and then issue a new one? You know, because there's obviously hundreds of thousands of NFTs are out there without this. How do you sort of migrate?
There are two approaches that we have encountered. One is wrapping, as you suggested. This is not always convenient because wrapping is essentially a new NFT, and you might already have protocols that are based on this. Another approach is to create a separate contract that is only holding the extension and essentially softly link them together. So it's almost like an adapter that says, okay, for token ID out of this contract, this is going to be the consumer, and then the honoring applications would need to also honor this contract and see, okay, this is just a mapping of who the renters are. So what we believe is that we're going to see a lot of these adapters in the early days of this protocol until there is enough critical mass of tokens that are natively supporting this.
This was pretty much my question, but I have another one. There are two aspects to basically adopting this standard. The first one is the NFT creators, whether it's a game or NFT collection adopting it, whether it's retroactively to the adapter or just integrating it into their new contract. But in order for this to work, it also needs to be recognized by the games or the applications that need to honor the consumer role. How do you think we can spread awareness or adoption on the application side of this?
We need more talks like this. We need to be making more talks like this. And by the way, this is kind of the second part of your question is supposed to be kind of the easier part because you can treat as the consumer of this consumable extension, no pun intended, the smart contracts, but also you can treat you can think of this as the front end client-side applications, and they're easier to change, so they don't suffer the drawbacks of they are pre-existing and immutable, so they can easily change in order to honor this. But yeah, it's all about awareness, all about the more that protocols integrated it and the more that protocols and companies and enterprises decide to use this in order for this to get more awareness, the better it is. And what we need to do is speak more on conferences and tell people that this exists.
Hello. Why does the protocol need to know that the asset is actually rented? Why can I not have an extra contract and make a rental agreement on that contract and put on some collateral, for example?
Oh, it's neat for this to be part of the token contract so that you can reason based on the same contract instead of your protocol having to honor two or possibly multiple contracts and pull different types of data and then merge them together.
Hello. Yeah, what I wanted to know is why a protocol in the first place needs to know that the asset is rented and not genuinely owned.
Because the owner might have rented this and the asset itself might be given an access so that the renter of this, the person that has rented this NFT might need to be the one that's actually getting this asset access.
Okay, thank you.
No more? Okay, thank you. I promised for this to be light, so it was light. Cool. See you guys.